So anyone can answer. Imdadul, do you hear me? And is this PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So we were talking about various systems of sea star, and we have come to this particular topic, the water vascular system. Although we have talked about or introduced this system to you already in several of previous classes, we know that this is a unique system to echinoderms, and it helps in mainly in the locomotion. Actually, it is a part of modified coelom, right? So that is why we said that there is an extended and well-developed coelom in this. And this system consists of arrangement of canals, rather in a network of canals, right? And that is for the mainly for the locomotion. So very quickly, we want to see what are the constituents of this particular system. So here we see a structure called madreporite, then a small tube or small this connecting canal, which is called as a stone canal, then a ring of canal, a ring-like canal, that is called as ring canal. Then there are on the all radii, which run in the arms, there are this radial canals, which each of which run all along the length of the arm. So that is radial canal. And then the canals leading to these structures, which are called as tube feet. So these tube feet are joined to the radial canal with the help of lateral canal. And then there are some structures associated, such as Tiedemann bodies, such as Polian vesicles, which are not universally present. They are there in some while absent in others, and their role is still not confirmed. And so this particular thing, this particular network of canals as well as tube feet make up this water vascular system. The main functions of this system are, number one, the most peculiar and important function is in bringing about the locomotion. So how it performs locomotion, all these structures work in coordination to bring about locomotion. And the locomotion is by this hydraulic pressure mechanism. How that is achieved, that we'll be talking about. Also, other than locomotion, the thin walls of tube feet may serve for respiratory gaseous exchange of gases, right? So exchange of O2 with CO2, and the thin walls of this, they are important in respiratory exchange. In addition to this, there are dermal papule or dermal papillae or branchial structures or gills, which we have seen in the earlier introduction part, where we talked about the morphological structures of this. And these parts, they emerge from the surface. And dermal branchioles. So they are important in respiratory gaseous exchange, where also the tube feet are involved in the respiratory gaseous exchange. Then tube feet may also help in anchoring the body to substratum and also capturing and handling the food that we have talked about when we saw in our previous class how it pries open that bivalve by fixing the tube feet to two different valves and applying the opposing pressure to just open the valves and reaching inside, everting its stomach into the mantle cavity, and we're consuming the soft body parts of a mollusk, the muscle, MUSSEL, muscle. So they are important, tube feet are important in capturing and handling of the food. So these are several functions of the water vascular system. Since tube feet are an important part of water vascular system, so and they work with the they work in response to the flow of water and contraction of muscles and sucker action of the tube feet. So they ultimately help in anchoring the substratum to the substratum and in capturing and handling the food. So all these three systems are attributed to the water vascular system. Also, all these canals that we have seen in this, all these canals, this radial canal or this canal, ring canal and lateral canals, they are lined internally with ciliated epithelium. Here they are lined with the ciliated epithelium. Also, they have muscular walls. The muscle fibers are invested in the walls, so that help in flow of water and extension and retraction of various parts associated with this. So next we talked about these functions. In this figure, we see how they are important in capturing the food and how they are important in locomotion. Here in this figure, you see that these tube feet are extended. If this is big enough, let me zoom it a little bit here. You see these tube feet are extended and they have anchored on this bivalve, on this shell or this wall of this mollusk bivalve. So you see some are extended. So, and while others, they are not. So by their extension and this vacuum action of their suckers, they are able to anchor themselves to the substratum. And then by the pulling action of these muscles, by retractive action of these muscles, they apply force to this part, and that way the muscles of this may be loosened and the valves may open, and the internal content, of course, they are then exposed and the stomach is everted out, which you see in this, everted into this, and digestion, somewhat extracellular digestion, and then engulfing of the partly digested food, and then further digestion of that. So in this way, these tube feet assist in capturing the food, and they assist in feeding mechanism. Now we'll talk about this system in detail. AFAQ 20 CHP 101. AFAQ, can you hear me? 20 CHP 101. आफाक आप रिस्पॉन्ड कीजिए. आप लोगों से मैंने कहा है कि you should join by 10 o'clock. This is wrong when you don't follow the discipline of the class. Anyway, here now we study in detail what are the different parts of water vascular system. So one is madreporite, this one. This is water enters through this. It is having a sieve plate. There are several pores here in the madreporite. It is a calcareous plate and it is situated on the aboral surface of the central disc. It is located on the central disc on the aboral part, not on the oral, that is the downward part. And there are several fine radiating furrows present on this plate. And there may be about 250 minute pores through which water may enter through this madreporite. Then there is a canal called as stone canal. This is somewhat S-shaped canal. It's a short canal, and it extends up to this ring canal. So it starts from madreporite and it extends up to this ring canal, which is somewhat located on the oral side. So from a aboral side, this opening, and then water leading to this ring canal, which is somewhat located on the oral side. So this surrounds the mouth, and we know that mouth is present on the oral side. So this ring canal leads to these radial canals. There are 5 of them, 5 radial canals. and it runs, radial canal runs up to the length of the arm. Then the ampulla, these swollen structure, muscular sac that control tube feet by forcing water into that. So this is the ampulla part, and then this is the podium part of the tube feet that creates suction to adhere to the substrate. Also, these are several functions, that is movement, feeding, excretion, respiration, and somewhat sensory organs. They somewhat act as sensory structures. Here in this figure, we see the part of the skin is removed. Here you see. So this part, this makes up the water vascular system. Only ampulla is shown here in this. And here you see the canal also. These are the radial canal. This one is the radial canal, right? Running all the length. And here in this, these ampullae are removed to show that they connect. This canal, radial canal, connects to these tube feet through these lateral canals. Also, you see alternatingly these lateral canals are short and of long length. They are longer and shorter here. This is the shorter one, this is the longer one. So it looks like that these two rows are there, right? So actually there is single row, but because of difference in the length of these lateral canals, it appears that there are two rows of this. You can see here how they are arranged. You see alternately they are long and short, short and long, long and short, like that, right? So these are the lateral canals that lead into these tube feet. So this is the structure you can see. Now in detail, let me zoom it out a little bit. So some description, the madreporite, which we have already talked about, is a rounded calcareous plate occurring on the aboral surface of central disc in the interradial position. See, it is present in the between two radii. It is present in the interradial position. And the arms between which this is present, that part is called as bivium, right? These two arms between which this madreporite is located, they are called as bivium. And the remaining three arms are designated as trivium. Also, its surface bears a number of radiating, narrow, straight, or wavy, minute pores, maybe 250 of them. They are located, and each part leads into a pore canal. And pore canal unite to form larger these collecting canals within the substance of madreporite. The collecting canal finally lead into a sac-like ampulla lying below the madreporite. So it is not that ampulla here. It is the ampulla is the collecting part of this, beneath the madreporite before leading into this, right? Then the ampulla opens into S-shaped stone canal, right? So ampulla is just a collecting sac, right? That is a common sac, and it starts it collects water from these minute pores, right? So these pores have smaller canals, and then the canals open into this sac-like structure or ampulla. So the ampulla opens into this S-shaped stone canal. Stone canal extend downwards and open into a ring canal around the there is some mistake here in typing. So open into ring canal. Now the wall of a stone canal is supported by series of calcareous rings. This stone canal wall is having these calcareous rings. That is the reason the stone canal got its name. That is it. It's a stone canal. Stone canal is also a part of an axial organ. Surrounding the stone canal, there is present a hemal sinus. So, so this runs through that hemal organ, right? Then it leads to ring canal. The ring canal or water ring is located to inner of the peristomal ring of ossicles, and it is present directly above the hyponeural ring sinus. Now these sinuses are actually part of hemal canal. Now this ring canal is wide and is having a five-sided appearance. Here you see, this is the ring canal, and it is having these five exit points that lead to the radial canals like this. Then the Tiedemann bodies, they are also known as racemose glands. Tiedemann bodies or racemose glands. They are small, rounded, yellowish glandular sac, and they open into, these sacs have opening into the ring canal. Now, at one point, this stone canal opens into this. So that is why there are 9 of such bodies, right? On the 10th one, there is this stone canal opening into the ring canal. And each Tiedemann body consists of a bounding peritoneum enclosing a stroma of connective tissue, like a substance of connective tissue, and muscle fibers containing several radiating structures. The electron microscopy has revealed that each cell of the radiating tubules bear a flagellum in the midst of the microvilli-like process. The exact function of these is not well established as yet, and some say them as lymphatic organs producing amoebocytes, though this is not yet confirmed. Then these Polian vesicles, the ring canal gives off these Polian vesicles. Ring canal gives off on its inner side in the interradii position 1, 2, or 4 little pear-shaped, thin-walled contractile bladders or reservoirs having long neck called Polian vesicle. Let's see if these vesicles, yes, here, these are the Polian vesicles. They are located here. They are not found actually in the sea star, which we are talking about. This type study जो हम कर रहे हैं उसमें ये present नहीं होती हैं सी स्टार में, लेकिन कुछ और उसमें present हैं, स्टेरिडी की कुछ सॉरी एस्टेरॉइडिया के कुछ स्पीशीज में ये प्रेजेंट हैं, पर फैमिली एस्टेरिडी में जनरली ये प्रेजेंट नहीं होती हैं, these Polian vesicles. Then we have radial canals. Along each radius, the ring canal gives out a radial canal which extends up to the tip of corresponding arm. Radial canal rests below the ambulacral ossicles and terminates as lumen of the terminal tentacle. So these two, Tiedemann body and Polian vesicles, they are part of this. They open into this ring canal. Here you see, these are the Tiedemann bodies in this figure, Tiedemann bodies, and there are these Polian vesicles. So they open into these this ring canal. Next, we have radial canal. We have seen the structure of radial canal here. Now we come to the lateral canal. So in each arm, the radial canal gives out 2 series of short, narrow, transverse branches called lateral canals or podial canal. Each lateral canal is attached to the base of tube feet, and it's provided with a valve to prevent backflow of fluid into the radial canal. Next part is the tube feet. There are 4 rows of tube feet in each ambulacral groove, 2 on each side. And why we see 2 rows? Because of the difference in the length of lateral canals. So it appears that there are 2 rows of these tube feet present. 2 rows on each side of this ambulacral groove. And the tube feet or podium is a hollow, elastic, thin-walled structure, and it has a disc-like sucker at the base. And a tube feet has an upper sac-like ampulla, a middle tubular podium, and a lower disc-like sucker. So this is an upside down structure of a tube feet. Here, this is the ampulla. Here you see, and this canal opens into this. Then this is the podium part, and this is the last part of tube feet where this sucker is located. Here in this picture, it is much more clear. Here, this is the ampulla. Ampulla is a small ball that sits above the tube feet here, and contraction and expansion of ampulla is brought about the muscles associated with this structure here. Between these ossicles, there is, through these spaces, it runs, it emerges out, and here this is the podium part of tube feet. Of course, here also the muscles are present. There is the longitudinal retractor muscle, and last part is the sucker part of this. So this is how a tube foot looks like in section. Here you see the lateral canal is connected here. This is the lateral canal that opens, and all these canals are interconnected canals. So in this you see some of the tube feet are extended. They are extended here, you see that, while some are not that extended in this picture. Then how they bring about the locomotion. So the water vascular system sets up a hydraulic pressure. Also, the by action of cilia, water enters through madreporite, fills up all canals of system, including tube feet. Then one or two arms in the desired direction of movement are raised from the substratum, right? Because if it is, this is a 5-arm structure, so if it needs to move in one direction, that means there will be 1 or 2 leading arms, right? So 1 or 2 arms in the desired direction of movement are raised from the substratum, right? Because once they are fixed on substratum, they need to detach, and then they are raised from the substratum. Simultaneously, the ampullae of tube feet to these arms contract by the action of their circular muscles. Ampullae contract, right? So that pushes the water into this tube feet. So this increases the hydraulic pressure within the foot part. Then these tube feet elongate because they are no longer attached to the substratum. They are free, and its ampulla is contracting, pushing water into tube feet, so they are extended. So they elongate and extend forward, and then they firmly adhere to the substratum by the vacuum action of their sucker. So once they elongate, they then attach to the substratum, and then the whole body arches and moves forward. So this increases the hydraulic pressure within the tube feet, elongate, extend, adhere. Adhesion is further strengthened by the mucus secreted by tip of the tube feet. Then by muscular activity, the tube feet assume a vertical position once they are extended like this, and then they assume this vertical posture, and that way that drags the body forward, right? So first the arms become free from substratum, tube feet extend, then they become, first they are in this position, then they become vertical, and the whole body drags behind that. Tube feet then shorten by contracting their longitudinal muscles and forcing some of the water back into the ampulla. Consequently, the suckers release their hold on the substratum. So this way this movement takes place, locomotion takes place. here in this figure, we see different structures that we have talked about already. That is these tube feet, how they are connected with this. When water is forced into this, the water moves through this, and when they need to detach and extend, the ampullae contract, and the water goes into this system. In the podium part, podium extends because of high pressure, and that then it attaches again, and then the whole retraction occurs. Water retraction occurs. So it's a structure that operates like suction cups. Think of an octopus or the end of a rubber dart on the toy gun, and now multiply that several hundred times to get an idea how many a sea star has. So this is how the locomotion is brought about. During locomotion, one or two arms serve as leading arms, and all the tube extend in the same direction in a coordinated manner. Right? But since millions of them have to be coordinated in this way, this sea star moves steadily and slowly, and at a very slow pace, about 15 centimeter per minute. They can also climb up the rock by combined action of their tube feet. And if it can accidentally if it is turned upside down, the body senses that because of a well-developed sensory system and a balancing system. It senses that it can correct its posture by folding or arching its arms. When in the folding, tip of one or two arms twist to bring their tube feet in contact with substratum. And then the whole system, the whole body is folded over and corrects itself. Right? And in arching, the upturned body is first raised on its arm tips, and then it is rolled over. ठीक है, अगर ये उल्टी हो जाती है तो हाउ इट करेक्ट्स, तो या तो ये साइडवेज से फोल्ड हो जाती है, या ये मतलब जैसे कहते हैं कि कलाबाजी जो हमारे उसमें वर्ड यूज होता है कि अपने टिप को अटैच करती है जरा सा टर्न करके, एंड द होल बॉडी रोल्स ओवर on the arm tips. So that is how it corrects its posture. So these are some of the associated figures to show how these canal systems are interconnected. You see, this is the madreporite and this is the stone canal, and this is the part of axial sinus as well. So this part is the axial gland and axial complex here through which it runs. This stone canal runs. And in the young sea star, the stone canal is a simply hollow tube. But in the older ones and on the later, in these older ones, this stone canal develops a ridge-like structure inside, and it becomes kind of lamellated. And then we have these radial canals and the circular canal. Also, these nerve rings are associated closely with that. And hemal system, perihemal, oral perihemal, or hyponeural ring sinuses. So they are not actually part of this water vascular system. They are part of some other system. For example, nerve ring is a part of nervous system. Hemal canal is a part of this hemal system. Incidentally, they are not included in your syllabus, so we are skipping all those. And this movement and all these activities are actually, what do you call that? They are closely interrelated. ठीक है ना, नर्वस सिस्टम ही से सेंस होता है ये, और accordingly the motor system operates in all these movements. It is no system in body works independently. We know that the systems are interconnected. So not that way, physically interconnected. They influence over other system. They have influence over other system. So all these systems are shown in this. But if you talk about only water vascular system, so here we see this madreporide, then stone canal, then ring canal, then radial canal, and lateral canal, and the tube feet. Also, we see in this adoral perihemal ring sinus, that is separate, and this axial gland and this axial sinus, and then we have other sinuses, oral perihemal or hyponeural ring sinus, etc. तो हम इसके बारे में और साइनसेस के बारे में इसलिए नहीं बात कर रहे हैं कि वी डोंट वांट टू गो इनटू डिटेल ऑफ दैट बिकॉज दे आर नॉट इंक्लूडेड इन योर सिलेबस. In your syllabus, the digestive system, water vascular system, and the general morphology is included. And then the development, the embryonic development, larvae, because a large number of larval forms are present in this phylum, Echinodermata. And larvae have evolutionary significance. So on the next turn, we'll be talking about in detail the embryonic development and the post-embryonic development of sea star. So go through the syllabus, go through this text from some books in detail and take help of these PPT. I will be sharing the PPT next week. This whole PPT I will be sharing on the Google Classroom. So you may take help of the PPT and then you can read from the book that you have downloaded. Someone has shared these books, at least one book of CodePal on WhatsApp group. So you may take help of that and download that and see how much detail is given for all these systems. So with this, I end the class here and hope to join on Monday. We'll see you